Hey, Bradley.
Hey, Marcus.
How are you doing in light of the big blindside last night?
Of course, a little sad, just as I've been every day since it happened in real life. But otherwise, I'm great. I had such a blast on the show, and it's been really fun to watch. I've been thoroughly entertained by my character on the show, so it's been all good.
Yeah, a lot of the tribe mates said that you were a little bit rude, a little bit, maybe had a short fuse. What was your reaction to those comments?
Unsurprising. I think if you look at the 3 words I used to describe myself in my Survivor bio, impatient is one of them. I think, of course, there is some editing involved in that, because I am good friends with a lot of them now, and I even wasn't game. But yeah, it's definitely me. When I see it on TV, like, yes, is that me? Absolutely. Am I an exaggerated version of myself? Absolutely. I think what might get lost a little bit sometimes on TV is that, in real life there's nuance to what I'm doing. I never would walk around and seriously be like, oh, I underestimated myself, I'm fantastic. I might say that, but it would be under the pretense where I knew everyone would know I was 100% being facetious. So, I guess it is what it is. That's me.
At the end of the day, the fact that Dominic and Chelsea turned on you is the reason you were voted out. These are guys that you had that original alliance with, and you really weren't expecting that to happen. But looking back, do you think they made the right decision to get you out?
Well, first of all, that's all Dom's move. Chelsea's just along for the ride. And I didn't trust Chelsea at all. She threw my name out on day 2 to Kellen. Kellen told me, so I knew all along I couldn't trust her. The only reason I think she voted with me at Malolo was that Kellen had her wrapped around her finger. And so, that was completely Dom's move. I think the move was too soon, but in general, getting me out I think was a smart move for Dom. What you see on TV is it looks like I would be this fantastic final tribal council goat to take to the end. And Dom will tell you that in that moment, that wasn't how I was being perceived. He perceived me as a threat that was going to send him home. What he thought I was doing, and which I wasn't on purpose, but he thought I was sending all the people with kids home because they would be more likely to win if they made it to the end, because I had voted out Brendan and Stephanie, and he was worried I would do the same to him. And then he had also, for a while, been saying to people that the first chance he got, he needed to get out me or Kellen because he didn't trust the 2 of us together. So I think for Dominic, it was a good move. I was playing at 100%, and so was Dominic. And, I think, if you look at the feud he has going with Chris and stuff, and I was still firmly in Dominic's camp, against Chris, that, maybe it was a good idea if he had kept me around so he could have another number in his fight with Chris. But in terms of it, I think at some point he had to get rid of me or I was going to get rid of him. So I think it was a perfectly great move, even if it sent me home, which totally sucked.
It was one of the better blindsides, though. Even for the audience at home, I thought for sure Libby was a goner.
Well, yeah, and I think especially because the night Brendan went home, everyone said, like, oh, Bradley, you survived your own boot episode. And so I think as a viewer, you watch last night and you're like, well, we've seen this trick before. Like, Bradley's not going to end up going. It was a great blindside. When we got back from that challenge before Tribal, the energy was a little weird and I thought something might be up. The problem just was I didn't have any concrete proof really that anything was up. And what I didn't want to do was blow up Tribal, trying to flip the vote off of me if the vote actually wasn't on me, because then I would get myself voted out. Basically, I'd vote myself out, by going nuts at Tribal. And so, that's why you see me say, like, everything's going great, we're all getting along perfectly, when in fact, like, Duncan was driving me crazy. But I was trying to say everything was great because I was just hoping that Chelsea and Dominic were still on the same page as me. Just because I didn't feel like I had enough proof that they weren't for me to do anything that was worth the risk of maybe voting myself out. So that's a bummer.
If you had made it to the merge, who would have been your number one target to get out?
Oh man. I mean, it would have had to have been probably Dom. So at that point, I was working with Michael, and I was very close with Kellen, who was also working with Michael. So Michael, Kellen, and I were going to team up, and I had Sebastian and Jenna and Des, and Kellen had Chelsea, and we also had Wendell. And so we would have had a formidable bunch. And I think we would have had to have gotten out Dom. Dom was a big threat, and that's what makes Dom a good player, is that he was able to, make the move when he had the chance to get somebody else out that would have put a target on him.
He is a good player, and he has that secret advantage that I don't think anybody currently knows about in the game, which is good that he keeps.
Right. Yeah, nobody in the game knows.
So I think you said at the end that if you had made it to the merge, you probably could have won this game. Do you stand by that? You think you really could have, won over the jury?
Yeah, I think it would have been highly, highly dependent on who I made it to the end with, but I think very much so by everyone. This is what Jeff told me right after I got voted out, that I was a threat. And that's why they got rid of me, because I ran such a tight ship in Malolo that, people, it really put a target on my back. And so I think in hindsight, I played a little too hard too quick. Kellen and I were a little too good at getting rid of Malolos, which then kind of tipped people off. But I think, my plan was, if I could have taken anybody, I would have ideally taken Jenna and Sebastian, or like Jenna and Chelsea. I think I could have beat them. I think it would have been, I don't think I would have beat Kellen. I don't think I would be, like a Wendell type person. Everybody loves Wendell. I don't think I would have beat Michael, definitely not. So I think there are a handful of people I would have lost against, but I think there's a handful of people I could have beat. So it really could have gone either way. And I wouldn't sit here, like I said in my little interview as the credits were rolling. I said, if I made it one more day, I would have won. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think there are a lot of hurdles between day 20 and day 39, but I think I was in a very good spot with the social relationships that I had built. And so while I loved my edit and I loved the character I got to be on TV, it is a little bit of a bummer that people didn't get to see that while I was over the top and I was ridiculous and I was this villain, I also had a lot of really great relationships, and my social game wasn't complete crap.
As a super fan, you must hate that you didn't get to go to Ghost Island and actually experience that for yourself.
Yeah, it was definitely a bummer. Because there was this big unknown. After Kellen had gone the first time, she came back and we talked about it, and I felt like I had a pretty complete picture of what was happening at Ghost Island, because before that I didn't trust what people were saying. But I trusted what she was saying, and yeah, it's a huge bummer. I mean, even now, it's like, it's hard to watch that, because it's like, hey, I never even got to go there, and I would have loved, at some point to have gotten the chance to go just to see all the cool stuff, the relics, if you will. It would have been really cool.
Well, final question, Bradley. If you were ever to play Survivor again, what would you do differently the second time around?
Oh, man. I think I made a lot of personal strides in my social game, even if the edit doesn't look like it. I think the edit looks like I'm unaware and out of control, which I don't think is the truth, and I think most people I played with would tell you it's not the truth. So I think I would keep doing that. Just keep trying to work on patience. Patience is the hardest thing for me. I just, it's little, like you look at the steak last night, and it's like it was taking everyone so long to get ready to cook the steak. I mean, like, people went and got water. People were, like, changing. I mean, we had flies all over our steak. We were getting like, bugs on them. And actually, the producers finally were like, guys, you might want to hurry out. This is raw meat, and it's like 90 degrees outside. And so when they were saying that, then I was like, okay, guys, like, come on, let's go. And that's kind of when I started it. But, of course, you don't see them, telling us that we need to hurry up a little bit. So yeah, definitely some patience, but it was the coolest experience of my life, and I had an absolute blast.